So a while ago, I caught wind that an animated spin-off series of Amazon's The Boys called Diabolical would be coming out on March 4th. And if you guys know me, you know The Boys is one of my favorite superhero shows, or just shows period. I absolutely love the last 2 seasons, and I'm eagerly awaiting season 3. If you haven't seen my season 2 review, I definitely go check it out because it's one of my most favorite videos that I've ever made, and one I'm probably the most proud of. And of course, check out the show if you can, if you have Amazon Prime, or if you have that antivirus. Needless to say, I was excited for the show. So March 4th came around and I watched all 8 episodes. They're all about 14 minutes each. So I binged for nearly 2 hours, and after watching all of season 1, I gotta say, that kind of sucked ass. And I'm just keeping it all the way 1000 with you guys. The show offers very little. I ran a poll on the community tab to see how many of y'all mess with The Boys, and it was a decent amount. So I thought I'd cover the gist of this show and review it, but also give you any of the pertinent information, because I can't lie, there are some things that do give us some insight into the Boys universe, and I believe at least the last episode was officially canon. So for all my fellow players out there that fuck with this show, I will fill you in on all you need to know. So if you appreciate your boy saving you 2 hours of your life and of your soul, don't forget to hit that sub button, turn on your notifications, leave a thumbs up, follow my social medias. So the first episode is an exercise in old silent animation, lots of Looney Tunes vibes with Laser Baby's Day Out. Really nothing special with the animation or the story. It's just about a laser beam baby escaping Vought Tower while one of the workers that cared for her tries to catch up and save her before she, runs into some type of accident that'll kill her, or if the Vought security comes and gets her. Again, it's not much of anything except an exercise in this type of animation, but it does give us insight into Vought and how they have a division dedicated to testing Compound V on infants. Episode 2, we get a lot more into the most common type of animation there is right now, this kind of TV-14, TVMA style like Bob's Burgers or Rick and Morty, about a bunch of reject soups with lame ass powers. They find out about Compound V and how it was the result of their powers and not something they were born with. So they want to get revenge on their parents for putting them through this, and they basically team up, and it's a montage of all of them killing their parents. There was a soup that turned into a ghost, which I thought was pretty cool, and to be fair, she alone had a pretty compelling story, but everything else was just kind of lame, and you don't care about these characters and definitely don't have enough time to care about them. So episode 2 was another bust for me. Episode 3 comes and we finally get some better animation and a actual little decent tale of drug use in the soup world. We get comic accurate versions of Butcher and Huey and not much else. It's gruesome, a bit funny, but only serves to world build by introducing us to some comic book faces that we wouldn't have seen in the regular show, or at least yet. Episode 4 was actually kind of nice. It was about this insecure dude who becomes a test subject for a new Vought product that changes your appearance to your liking. So he becomes like a Homelander clone, and the girl he lives next to starts to notice him. They hook up and she finds the product herself and becomes a furry essentially. And the whole episode is them getting famous off their new looks and being the new big social media influencers, but they run out of the product eventually and have to live as their true selves once again, and they find each other again, and it looks like they're gonna fall back in love again, or so it seems, until the end of the episode implies it was all in his head, and it was kind of like a fucked up version of a Pixar short, to be honest. But it does show us that Vought could be testing out Compound V products to later release onto the public, so that could be interesting if they implement that. Episode 5 is, no pun intended, or all the puns intended, the shittiest piece of television I've ever seen, okay? The premise of this episode is basically what happens if you drink Compound V instead of injecting it. Your stomach, or whatever's in it, will absorb the Compound V, and thus an animated turd takes centerfold of this episode. And this weak-ass anime-styled episode amounts to a young girl doing that and becoming essentially a shitbender. I kid you not, which sounds funny, but it really isn't when you watch the show. It's actually fucking gross. And I'm chill with gore and everything and gross shit, but come on, this is literal shit. That's a completely different story. Don't eat while you watch this episode, or just don't watch the episode, guys. I implore you to not watch it. Episode 6 is about an actual couple of soups, Nubia and Prince Nubian, and they basically get together after defeating a villain one day, and they have a daughter, and the show skips to them out of love and on the brink of divorce. So the daughter tries to rekindle their love by requesting the service of a villain they fought back in the day, the night they met, and they end up almost killing him. If not, they probably did. And long story short, it ends up being worse for the kid, and so now she actually wants them to be divorced. So the only thing to take away from that episode is that Vought sets up these attacks with villains that they have on retainer to make their soups look better to the public, which is going to be interesting to see them actually do that in the show, because I think they will implement that. Episode 7 is like a straight up pure anime Up type short, like the movie Up. Honestly, this is probably the most worth watching if you're really big on animation. There's plenty of good stuff in this episode, and it's very emotional, honestly. It reminded me of Princess Monoko, or Monoke. I always just say Monoke. I love that movie though. It's really good, very long. And it does touch on Compound V and its effect on terminal illnesses and how detrimental that could be. So maybe they'll do something with that in season 3 or the seasons following. Episode 8 was the best episode, okay? It goes into Homelander when he just started his superhero career with Vought to the public. It also goes a bit into his demented upbringing in Vought's care, and we see him on his first real mission trying to save a group of hostages, and he, in very Homelander fashion, fucks it up by having no idea what he's doing and I guess overusing his power. And he basically fucks up, ends up hurting an innocent person, and so he has to kill the hostages and the people who took up the hostages to save his name. That's where we see Black Noir, who saw everything but assures Homelander he won't tell anyone, and passes a note to him that we've yet to find out what was actually written on it. So that might come up in this next season, like a kind of alliance between Noir and Homelander, and if we do get something with that, it might deepen the relationship that we didn't even know existed between them, really. Altogether, guys, this little season of shorts was very lackluster, okay? If they would have just gave us maybe like prequel stories for some of these characters, or some type of transitional stories for season 2 to season 3, that would have been a better use of this first season. They took so much time kind of world building in these episodes, but if only the finale is canon, what world would you be building, you know? Hopefully they take elements from each episode and integrate them into the show, except for episode 5. Fuck that episode. Definitely not worth 2 hours of your time, and that is why I'm giving Diabolical season 1 a 4 out of 10. Watch at your own peril, guys, especially episode 5. Hopefully you'll listen to me and just save yourself the time by watching this video, but if you do watch it, let me know what you thought of it, whether you liked it or not. I'm still hyped for season 3 dropping in June. Let me know if you are too. That's it. If you liked the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want, subscribe. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.